You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host, Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts, Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
You are listening to The Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, April 17th show. You can also listen to our show on podcast or Facebook premiere show. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
We are here to help you build a strong financial blueprint, 1 week and one show at a time. If you are hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. We are here to answer your questions. More importantly, connect you with the guests that we have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And now in studio, Doug Peterson of Get Priorities Straight. What is really important at this stage of your life? Right here on 1150 AM KKNW.
Doug, so you focus on personal money mastery, and your name is genius, by the way, but I want to get your feedback on why did you name your companies Get Priorities Straight?
You know, we all have a lot of things we want in life, and one of the things that really helps us get there, money isn't everything, but when you have enough, you can do things. And I saw people working at all levels in professions and doing 18 years of executive mentoring work, and more money didn't make them happy. And often their expenses went along with their income, and they kept having a higher and higher bar. And then they were working so hard to make money, they weren't doing the things they said they really want to do. And so I thought, how do you figure out when and how much to do with the things that are important to us? And there's so many of them. So I wish I'd named it, but George Tolles said, your logo is GPS with a $sign. Your name is Get Priorities Straight. It wasn't even my idea, and I loved it.
But it is what you live and what your company is all about, and what a perfect name for your company, Doug. Let's talk about priorities and what do you feel are the most important priorities?
I hear a lot of priorities: family, health, just more time, money, friends, giving, profession, travel, buying or fixing up your home, having fun. And then there's all the subsets and the New Year's resolutions of losing weight and getting organized and buying something and volunteering. But again, the challenge is, how do you do all this and when do you do it?
And, finances have to be at the top of your priority because money is not everything, for sure. However, money affects everything if you don't have enough to get by in life. Everything extra is up in what you want to put and how much time, but you have to be able to get by of what your standard is going to be in life. Otherwise, it's going to affect your health. It's going to affect your time. It's going to affect everything else in your life.
Doug, you refer to at this stage of life. Can you elaborate on your thoughts about this stage of life?
We are different people in different decades of our lives. I have a mentor, Bob Beal, and he has written 22 books, and his best work of his life is the book Decade by Decade, Life is Surprisingly Predictable. When you talk about what's important to you, Keenan, as a father with young children, your priorities are going to be very different from me, and I have 2 young granddaughters. So prefacing the question of what's important at this stage of your life helps you focus on what's important right now and really put things in order, because our brains don't sort things out logically. We just have a lot of stuff we want, and until we really decide what it is we want to do and put a plan in action, often a lot of these things don't happen.
Because we're sorting them out emotionally, right?
I want to respond to a comment you made, Tina. Having enough is a huge stress reliever. Not having at all, but knowing how much you need to live each month and having enough to get by every month without stress, still go out to dinner, still go on vacation. Maybe you're not doing everything, but man, that's a lot easier than not having enough. It's such a simple idea.
For sure. So, Doug, I want to go back to the priorities and talk about how you sort what priorities to focus on. So, if one of your students, coaching students, is coming to you to really help them get their finances in line, how are you helping them break down the priority and sorting those priorities?
Well, the first question is just what's important to you, because these are not my priorities. I'm not going to give you my list. But there's a great book called Essentialism by Greg McEwen, and he explains a history about the word and how its meaning has changed. The word priority came into the English language in the 1400s, and it was singular. We had the very first or prior thing is what it meant. It stayed singular for 500 years. The 1900s, did we make it plural and start talking about priorities? And we realized somehow changing the word would bend reality. Somehow we'd be able to have multiple first things. So people and companies routinely try to change that. One leader told me about his experience in a company that had Pri 1, Pri 2, Pri 3, and Pri 4, and that gave the impression that many things being the priority actually meant nothing was. So helping people get clear on what's important at this stage of their life, looking at their money, giving every dollar a job, only spending money that they have, really helps bring things down to earth about what's really important. And one of the biggest outcomes of this is waste is reduced, often about 15%.
That's huge. I know a lot of people just go through like the washer machine thing. You just go through life, you throw money out, you pay for it, and it'll probably make you sick if you really analyze it at first. But then you imagine the stress relief you can get from somebody like Doug, who can just get rid of all the gray area and everything's got a job. That's huge in life. That's a game changer. Speaking of that, Doug, what's your advice on how we get more of the things that are important to us in life?
This comes back to thinking ahead about what's important to you and aligning your money and your finances with your priorities. But it's not just money and finances. The only form of exchange that's universal is your time and life energy. And so are you spending your time doing things that are important to you, that you want to do? I'm sure we've all heard, I'll tell you what your priorities are by looking at your checkbook, which nobody uses anymore, and your calendar, maybe your credit card statement and your calendar. And it's really getting clear on those things that are most important so that we're not saying shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And so I built a life plan in 1994 when I was 38 years old. And it included several areas of my life that were important to me that I was not getting at the time. I wasn't happy with my job, and I wanted to have a better life. And the last item, I can't go into this in detail, but maybe on another show, was second to the last item was profession, and the last item was finances. I've now moved finances to the top. Well, not the top, but closer, because you need that foundation. Actually, I'm at the top, so I'm there to help people, and my wife is second, and I'll talk to you more about the rest.
So, Doug, I mean, just again, a great thing you're doing, just like you need a business coach, having a finance coach, somebody to keep you on track, moving forward with your priorities and what that is and what that looks like for you. Any other tips that you have on priorities, Doug?
Well, I think one of the quotes I love is that nothing is meaningful without context. If we don't have a context in which we're thinking about things, it doesn't make sense. And think, Keelan, from your background in doing financial planning work, if somebody's 22 and they've got $500,000 to invest, and they're 70 and they have $500,000 to invest,
22, 500,000. How does that happen?
Wouldn't that be great? It's a very different context. The 70-year-old doesn't have enough money to live the rest of their lives, right? Depending on their lifestyle and medical, but the 20-something-year-old would have an opportunity to, they usually don't, invest that or half of it and never have to worry about work after age 30 or 40 or 45. So the context is really important. So we need to look at everything. Are you making a lot of money and want to maximize it? Are you just getting started? Are you in things where you want to wrap things up and do really well with giving and being a philanthropist and volunteering. It's all depends on the context of where you are. And it really creates strong meaning in how you act.
Yeah, and really creating that mindset as well to be looking into the future about your finances versus looking at right now today.
Yeah, Doug, you hit it on the head. I'll tell you, if you don't, when I had customers, and we talked about these things, if they're not motivated, it's like a fitness planner, right? Like it's easy to get to that place. You eat less and you work out more, but it seems so dumb and simple. But that's the reality of the situation. If you're not motivated and you have a why behind what you're doing and you have your priorities straight, I'm wasting my time even sitting down with these people trying to explain, because they walk out of my office, they're like, nope, I'm going to go do completely something different. So you have and are handling with grace, and just you're so good at it, the toughest part for people in this whole thing, and that is getting those priorities straight, getting their money straight so they can change their life for the future. Because my job is easy. You just give me a risk analysis and I plug it into a bunch of investments and you let it ride. You're doing all the work that scares people the most and is the meat and potatoes of the whole thing, really. So powerful what you do. What could you add as far as getting your money in order to for your priorities?
Well, again, the name Get Priorities Straight deals more with just than money. That's what we focus on, because if we can reduce or eliminate the stress and challenge with that, you have a lot more choices. But there's a few things. I've actually been fortunate to do 13 weddings, and I just met with another couple for my 14th wedding as an officiant, and it's really a blast and it's really an honor. And I said at the end, do you guys have any questions about marriage? I've been married for 39 years and only separated once. I'd like a little hand for that, because that's pretty good. It's really hard sometimes. But getting your house in order, figuring out what's important. If you nice, Tina. If you have a partner, spending time on making that relationship work, spending time, and this is where we come in, on a high touch financial education, so that we don't just learn the skills. Somebody helps you implement them and make it easy and fast, so you get the benefit quickly. And it's so amazing how many people don't look at it and don't realize that they could save $10,000 or $20,000 just in interest savings. And I'll bet as mortgage people, you see that a lot, of people carrying quite a bit of debt, even when they're making a ton of money.
Yeah, but like Keelan said, you talk about the why. When somebody is not in a position to buy a home, that's a big why. And you can see people move very quickly, increasing their credit score, really putting their money down to pay off debt or to get a down payment, even though you don't need one. You can do a zero down loan. It's not as favorable as far as what that product looks like. So people can move really quickly when they have that why. And that's why, again, what you're doing is so important, Doug, because you're there to counsel, coach them through them, keep them accountable. Make sure they have that why and that they're staying on track with their priorities to get to that. So as we're wrapping up our time, probably less than 30 seconds, Doug, last shout out that you have for our listeners with getting priorities straight.
Well, just pay attention. Knowing where your money goes is the first step. And I'll be on the show every month. You can email me. I'm setting up a new website called schedulewithdoug.com, because getprioritiesstraight.com is hard to spell. So reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you at no cost.
Wonderful. Doug, thank you so much for coming in. And again, a regular contributor to the show, which we don't have a lot of. Doug's the only person in this space, and we bring in the best of the best for a reason. We want to connect you with them. So Doug, thank you for being here.
Thank you.